Hello, beautiful people. So this is going to be the second gaming video I ever make. In the first video, I did the very probably not smart thing and went over chapter 0, the options, but it gave me a good frame of reference. So technically, this is going to be the video where I start the main story. So let's see if we do that. Phew, that sure took a while. Thank you kindly for reading this far. I also got some water just in case. Anyway, let's begin the story. Beyond the pockets of mist and hazes of blood, at the end of the ever-repeating despair and grief, please come and witness the truth of the werewolf village with your own 2 eyes. Okay, so when they said it's like werewolf, it really is like werewolf. And Rikako takes a bow. May 11th, Sunday. Okay, I see a light. And an unknown person is saying, I closed in on the side of the road and killed the engine. It was steeper than I thought. My bike was on the verge of giving out, so I pushed down and deployed the kickstand. Well, I'm lost. Maybe taking a ride down an unknown road with no satellite navigation on me wasn't such a good idea. Yeah, maybe in this era, using a map rather than a phone and going to a place you've never been before might not be the smartest thing to do. You're not wrong. I just followed the roads, so I figured I wouldn't get lost. But now I was in some deep shit. No. Cool it? This isn't a big deal. I sighed, took note of the fact that I'd gone lost in my pocket journal, and then pulled out a map. Okay. Suddenly, a rush of memories flitted into my mind, as it happens when we look at maps. So my 2 options are forget it, or do I have key number 4? Or does that mean I have 4 keys? Let's click the question mark. Okay, that means I cannot access it unless I have key number 4. So guess what? That rush of memories? Get out of here. We're forgetting it. I somehow kept myself from remembering those things. After all, I'd gone on this trip to forget. Very melodramatic. So our main character, it seems, is Haruaki Fusaishi. So Haruaki. Ugh. Enough of that. I gotta focus on what's happening right now. Life is simple, just like this road. It's dark and there aren't any guides, but that means all you gotta think about is whether you go forward or back. Okay, very straight shooter. Going back was not an option in this case, so I just moved forward. Still, I want to know where I was at least, so I looked down at my map. Didn't he just say it doesn't really matter where you go, you just go forward? It was all Greek to me. Then why bring it? Last time I'd see the sign, it was still light out, meaning that I'd gone lost after the sun had set. Sure, it was my own fault for just guessing which intersections I'd been passing through, and that it'd take me 2 hours to conclude I was lost. You know what this character reminds me? This character reminds me of the dumb people that just instantly get killed in horror movies. Like slashers, they're like, I didn't think, but anyways, he might be smart. I don't know. Crazy to think that just 2 hours of aimless driving got me almost completely surrounded by mountains. Insane. They extended as far as the eye could see. If you flipped the scenery upside down and shook it, it's unlikely even a shred of civilization would tumble out. Besides the asphalt below, my sweet ride, and the lamppost above, the first one in a while, mind you, there was nothing man-made here, except this light post that I just referenced. The pocket map I had wasn't detailed enough for me to figure out where I was. Guess I'll just keep driving. Then why did you stop? I'd go as far as I could. Worst comes to worst, I could just camp at the side of the road. Yeah, he gonna die, ain't he? He ain't too worried. Another 2 hours later, I deeply regretted ever thinking that. Basically, camping wasn't an option. This mountain road had no side to camp on. A dump truck I'd passed barely even fit on it. I'd also had my first close encounters with the wild forest animals. I'd already seen 2 boars and 3 deer in those 2 hours alone. To be fair, what is Bambi gonna do to you? It's fine. Piglet and Bambi will leave you alone. One of the deer had run parallel to my bike while intently staring at me, and I had no idea what to think of that. Cool. I feel like it could smell my fear, and did it just to make it worse. How dare the thing do that to a human? It's not like we've hunted them for generations. We're the kings of this planet, damn it. I'd have to remember to eat some venison, some deer meat, once I come back to civilization. Now that's just spiteful. Anyway, camping out here was a bad idea. I'd end up as either roadkill or animal food, because we all know how lethal deers are. And yet, I didn't back out. Why? Because I'm a pretty warped sort of guy, and I won't pretend otherwise. I'm so quirky, I get lost, and I don't think about where I'm going. That was actually the reason why my once comfortable relationship had gone awry, and why I'd gone on this stupid trip. Didn't you just say you forgot on this trip? Why you went on this trip? Still, despite acknowledging that, I chose to keep moving forward. It wasn't like I'd find a place to stay if I went back. I was actually starting to think that this experience might make a good conversation piece sometime down the road. So you leave to forget, you leave to be away from people, and now you're already thinking how this is an opportunity to small chat with others in the future. Nice. It was really getting late at this point. Where would these roads take me, anyway? It'd probably be disappointing. Soon enough, the road became flat. I was out of the mountain pass. The forest remained abundant, though, so I still didn't see much. Even so, the streetlights and signs were enough. So there was more handmade stuff. The streetlights and signs were enough to make me feel I was again nearing civilization. Was streetlights the right expression for lights in the forest? I'd have to look that up. Are these lights on the street streetlights? As the road grew less rugged, I realized just how exhausted I was. All this bike handling had left my hands really sore too. I really had to rest. Suddenly, I saw something unexpected. Powerful, colorful, artificial lights. Aliens. I mean, a convenience store. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Fresh market. What's that say? Tobacco? Tobacco. Alright, so they sell cigarettes here. It was next to an intersection between the road I was on and another. Even thinner road that could probably support only a single car. The sea of trees ended, giving room for the majestic child of our consumer society. Oh, now you're bashing on society? Yeah, that was an exaggeration. Apparently, even a damn store was a big deal for someone who just stepped out of the wild. It was called Fresh Market. I'd seen several of them a few times during the day. It was probably a local franchise. The building didn't look all that old, at least the parking lot looked a lot smoother compared to the roads. This was a pretty weird place to build something like that, though. Was I close to a settlement, or did they actually make a profit off of lost travelers? I just asked that or something. A local shopkeeper was bound to know what was around these parts, not to mention I was thirsty AF. Me too. I was welcomed by a weird chime sound, as exists in most convenience stores. It looked like a normal convenience store. There were goods on the shelves, a counter on the left, and... whoa, a woman with dreads. The worker at the counter was so mean looking it was scary. Look, it's not her fault if she has a wretched bitch face, okay? She's just doing her job. It's probably 2 or 3 in the morning. Why are we judging her? She was so imposing, I wouldn't have doubted if someone told me she was in charge of some ladies' army corps. Well, that's one perception of a powerful woman. Hey, was that supposed to be a greeting? It was so damn cold it actually gave me chills. Okay, again, melodramatic boy. Was this store shadier than it appeared? A woman is leading. Am I going to be stupidly overcharged, as women do? Was this how the place made a profit? Through women? Am I a sexist? Probably. By taking advantage of lost innocent people like myself, and basically beating them out of their money. Victim complex. Shit, that was scary. Clearly, the Wonderland had only just begun. Woohoo! I sure was excited for the beating. I grew more nervous and less enthusiastic by the second, even though I used exclamation marks. I braced myself, but she just looked down at a magazine in her hands, because she really don't got time for your bullshit. Oh, so she was just a slacker. She isn't an asshole, she's just lazy. Slightly disappointed, I walked around the store. It was about what you'd expect. There was a small shelf of energy drinks, followed by some stationaries, travel goods, sanitary stuff, etc. There were sweets that came with toys, a shelf of cup ramen and dried food, a fridge, a freezer. It all looked normal. It was late, so the daily dish and packed lunch section was completely empty. The only special thing about this place was the section full of unpacked vegetables you'd expect to see at a grocers. Maybe all rural convenience stores were like this? I was slightly surprised by that, but there weren't any local fine foods or anything, so all in all, it was an unremarkable store, if you ignored the clerk anyway. I took a drink and brought it to the register. Yeah. I don't know. Yep, she really was the highlight of this place. What kind of clerk smokes while dealing with a customer? You're actually buying? Yes, I was actually buying. Oh my god, this main character sounds like a Becky. She was the clerk, and I'd be her god. The customer, oh my god, more like a Karen. 126 yen. She didn't even scan it. This exchange was at the mercy of the clerk. God is dead, said Nietzsche. Is it Nietzsche? God is dead. Because for some reason. Maybe I had to get mad at her and call her manager. Can I ask something? Huh? I'm kind of lost right now. I quickly turned meek, because I dumb. Oh, I probably shouldn't cuss as much. Where can I find the nearest town? There. Don't you have a map or something? We don't. Ha 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 ha. Man, this woman. I'm not sure I believe that. Convenience stores often get asked for directions. You must have a map handy. That a rule? Well, we don't have one. Go back wherever you came from. Thank you. I've been lost for a few hours now. You know, I just kept on driving forward for 4 hours without thinking. I don't think I can keep it up for much longer. Sleep on the floor or something. Exactly. She had to be joking. It's not like I was considering sleeping on the side of the road myself just a while ago. I appreciate the sentiment, but I'd rather be on my way. Are you sure you can't help? Ugh, alright, just wait. The clerk put out her smoke in the ashtray and went to the staff-only area. As I take my own drink. She came back in no time. Found it. Honestly, that'd be my eyes glaring at some dumb bullshit. So she did have a map. Of course she did. Becky. Even... Oh, did I click something? Oopsie. Even more ill-tempered than usual. You just met her. The clerk started giving an explanation. Listen, this clerk has a life. She probably has family, friends. Maybe she just has a whole traumatic past. Why are we so judgy right now? This here's the store. Go to the north of the crossroads. It's almost like there was only one direction on this road to go. You'll find an overpass soon enough. Cross it. When you come to a fort next to a giant boulder, turn right and head straight. So, overpass, cross the overpass. Wherever the giant boulder is, turn right. Huh? On this road? Keep on crossing the overpass and go right? I'm so confused. What of it? Oh god, his eyes. His eyes are piercing. They're looking deep into my soul. There's nothing there. There's the settlement. It's just not on the map. Do you know any other places? There's Fujiyoshi, but it's 2 hours through a mountain pass. This one's about 30 minutes away. She's even helping you. Ooh, she's even closing her eyes because she just can't right now. Fujiyoshi seemed to be a village. It didn't look too far away, but the road leading to it was a huge branching mess. It was clearly just a paved mountain pass. I had enough of these for one day. I'd probably just get lost again. I'll go to that one then. Thank you. Money. Excuse me? You didn't pay for the tea? Here's 500 yen. Ding, rustle, jingle. Why did you put the change in the collection box without asking me? Did you just say here's 500 yen? Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Having too many coins is a pain, ain't it? That was a hell of a line, thinking I'd donate to charity. I casually thanked her, grabbed the plastic bottle of tea. She didn't give me a bag, by the way, for my bottle of tea that I said I was going to drink right now, and left the store. I drank the tea in the parking lot and looked up at the moon, obscured by clouds, but still bright enough to outshine the light of the convenience store. Well, at least moonlight's beautiful. The clerk put me in a bad mood, though, so I didn't enjoy the sight. I threw the bottle into a nearby trash can and aggressively drove away. And I'll show her. Following the directions, I crossed the overpass and arrived at the first fork in the road. The byway she told me about was really narrow. I probably wouldn't have noticed it were it not for the tall boulder standing there like a roadside shrine for some traveler deity. Turning carefully, I got on the road. A minute later, I found myself in an even worse wilderness before. A veil of dead leaves covered the ground. Tall grass sided the path, and the sky above was blocked by overgrown shrubs, making it feel like I was passing a wooden tunnel. The road itself was a huge red flag. It was a wonder why I just didn't turn around. I asked for directions. Why am I following these directions I asked for? The exchange from before might have pissed me off more than I thought. Interesting. Still, I really didn't expect the road to just end. It happened about 15 minutes in. The view ahead suddenly turned strangely dark, and a split second later, the bike tipped forward. I reflexively hit the brakes, but it was too late. I started going down a cliff. Oh shit. My bike tilted downwards, and its suspension was put to the greatest test yet, as we basically tumbled down to the bottom. The headlight suddenly shone on some dirt and grass. I knew then that I'd be flung out of my seat. Stifling a scream, I tried to work some steering and brake magic to slow down without collapsing. But that was too big a task for a simple road bike. It was the bike's fault, not mine. At the bottom of the cliff, it jumped higher than ever before. The suspension couldn't handle the impact, and I was launched into the air. A moment later, I heard a crash and felt an impact, after which came an unpleasant pain. It was some vibration in the controls. Damn it! An accident where I was flung out like that was a first for me. The launch was really something too. I did a 360 in the air and fell on my... I feel like he's gloating about tricks as well as he's talking about this incident. I don't think I really like this guy. My breathing stopped for a moment, and the pain was so bad I thought all my bones shattered. My face and limbs seemed pretty fine, so I felt all my bones were shattered. But my head, my arms, and my legs, they were fine at least. There was grass under my hands. I felt it through the gloves. That and the smell of green made it pretty clear what I landed on. I pushed down on my hand sunk. This grass growth was pretty hefty. It was probably the reason why I came out relatively okay. Sure, my joints creaked when I stood up, but aside from that, I was fine. It was really dark, so I couldn't really confirm it, but I was pretty sure I wasn't even bleeding. Okay, so maybe he's recognizing he's a melodramatic person. My bike, however, wasn't nearly as lucky. Oh boy. It was lying on its side, a short distance ahead. The engine was still on. The back wheel kept on turning, making an unpleasant, fricative noise. Yep, it was busted. I walked up, killed the engine. Ooh, is that foreshadowing? And took the key. With the headlights off, I was surrounded by absolute darkness. So I just stood and waited until my eyes adjusted. I still couldn't see very clearly, but it looked like this actually wasn't a cliff. I was still on a road. It just wasn't paved beyond this point. So literally my whole description of what I said happened and how I felt that pain was all made up. Obviously, a road bike stood no chance against an unpaved road. That woman actually tried to kill me. Zigzagging through the trees, I followed the narrow footpath deeper into the forest. I tried getting my bike up and running again, but instantly gave up. It was partially stuck in mud, so there was the risk of it slipping and getting me into another accident. Maybe I had to turn around. The moment I considered that, I thought I saw a faint light ahead. If that woman wasn't lying, this road led to a settlement. Was I close? I reached into my jacket's pocket, took out my phone, because apparently I have a phone and I was using a pocket map, and opened it up. As you'd expect, I was out of range. Fair enough. I ran the light app and shone a light to see better. Though weak, it was better than nothing. At the very least, it helped me watch where I was going. Ooh, I had no idea how long I'd been walking for. But sure enough, I could see a light beyond the shrubs. It was weaker than expected. A flashlight, maybe? I could hear water, too. I might have been near a river. Hello? I raised my voice. Hello, Becky? Anyone there? I don't know why I see him as annoying. Still, declaring my presence, I walked forward. It was late at night. Were I to bump into someone here, the scare would probably take away a few years of our lives. He keeps on using the multiple tense. Our lives. We. Why? That was why I feared it was best for us both to let the other know we were here before that happened. So maybe the other person? However, there was no response. Could they not hear me over the rapids? Hello? I shone my light ahead and realized I'd made it to an opening. Sure enough, there was a river. Or a stream, rather. I could see slightly more than I had while surrounded by trees. Straining my eyes, I saw a rocky river beach and the shallows. The light I'd seen was on the other side. From what I could tell, it was either a lantern or a flashlight, and it was close to the ground. I didn't see any people, though. No one responded to my shouting either. I was excited about it, but I decided to step into the water. The cold water quickly soaked my shoes and socks. I could have taken them off, but I figured that crossing a river barefoot at midnight was a bad idea. Oh, but man, was it cold. I put my phone back into my jacket. I needed both my hands free in case I fell. Not stopping or backing down, I walked towards the lights. You know what? I want him to walk towards the light. I don't want him to walk away. I want him to embrace it and you pass on. It suddenly became deeper. The water reached my knees now. That was too close for comfort. Feeling the bottom with my toes and balancing myself, I somehow avoided losing my footing. The flow was fiercer than I'd expected. If I slipped and fell, I'd probably be washed away. It suddenly hit me I was doing something really weird, but it was too late to back down. Putting my hands on the boulders and carefully checking what I was stepping on, I gradually made it to the other side. Then, with an unpleasant wet sound in my every step, I walked up to the light. Couldn't he have just, after hitting the incident, walked back to the convenience store? I don't know. I could already see it clearly. Yep, it was a flashlight. Lying on the ground for some reason. And creepy music plays. There wasn't much space here. It was a narrow riverbank with a cliff right beside it. As you'd expect, I didn't see or sense anyone nearby. What the hell? Though old, the flashlight was working fine. The strength of the light told me the battery was pretty full. So he's gonna steal someone's flashlight? Really? This is what we're gonna go to? It's full, it's in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, mine for the taking? That meant that someone was actually using this tonight. Yeah. Or rather, until just a few moments ago. That was the most logical conclusion. It obviously wasn't left here yesterday afternoon or evening. Thank you for pointing that out. And yet, the user was nowhere in sight. And I was near a river. Did something bad happen? Oh lord, did someone jump? Did the flashlight's owner step into the stream and get swept away? That was the most likely and worst possible scenario. However, the flashlight was left practically buried in the pebbles. It didn't seem like someone placed it there to light things up. It was the dead of night. There was no way you wouldn't notice dropping your flashlight when it was so dark. Alright. The fact that a light source was left in a place like this was strange by itself. With that considered, what was going on here? What if, oh god, we're going to conspiracy theory. What if I'm an idiot? You know what? Let's stop the recording here and let me take you now. It's been 30 minutes. I need to drink and take a deep breath.